The first time you come to Russia, you will have a lot of questions. What to bring? How much money do I need? Is it safe there? So in this video, I'm going to answer the most popular questions you will have if you are planning to go to Russia. My name is Polina and you are watching Study with GE, a channel about education and life in Russia. Let's go! I don't really want to speculate about some obvious things, so I'll just mention the following. Firstly, you most likely need a visa to come to Russia, so check it in advance. Secondly, international payment services such as Visa and MasterCard don't work in Russia at the moment, so you have to travel with cash. But remember that you can't bring no more than $10,000 without a declaration. Instead of analyzing all these things, I would like to focus more on the tips and recommendations that might be helpful for you if you're planning to go to Russia to study or just to travel. One of the most popular questions is, do I need to know Russian to go there? The Russian language is a difficult one. There is no need to deny this fact. Different alphabets, strange pronunciation, difficult grammar. If you have ever tried to learn Russian for at least a few days, you have probably run into a lot of problems. But you don't really need to learn Russian to travel around this country. There is a very common myth that people in Russia can't speak English. That's absolutely not true. Yes, we may not be Shakespeare's here, but if you're in Moscow, St. Petersburg or Kazan or another big city, you will have no problem talking to people. According to the official statistics, 36% of Russians can speak, read and even listen in English, and 5% of Russians are completely fluent in it. This is an average European level, and even more people can understand simple sentences in English, so they will at least help you find your way out or bring you the food you have ordered in their restaurant. But what about universities? Do you need to know Russian to study there, especially if there are English language programs? Well, you can go through 4 years of getting your bachelor degree without adapting to this country, but it will be pretty hard for you. What's more, some universities require a Russian language exam, even if you're applying for an English language program. Also, studying in Russian is usually 15 or 20% cheaper. And if you want to work in Russia after your studies, it will be impossible without at least a B1 level in Russian. First of all, as a teacher, I would like to recommend you to start at least from the alphabet, so that you can translate something if it's necessary. You can install an app like Duolingo and learn the basics in a few weeks, which is enough for traveling. But if you're serious about studying in Russia, it's best to contact us at the link in the description box. Our experts will help you to choose a Russian language course in Russia, after which you will receive a certificate and be able to apply for Russian language studies at the best universities in the country. Clothes. Let's talk seriously about this, because probably no one knows exactly what they need to take with them when they go to Russia. The problem is that the weather in Russia is completely unpredictable. I can't tell you what to wear in Russia in general, because it depends on two factors. First of all, season, and second of all, region. Summers in Moscow are usually hot, but in St. Petersburg you have all the spectrum of different types of weather. It can be rainy, it can be hot, it can be cold, it can be windy, and so on and so on. If we're talking about Siberia, it can be hot, it can be cold, but you always need to be ready that there are always a lot of mosquitoes. So before you travel to any city in Russia, just check what the weather is usually like there in the month you plan to go, and scroll through a few websites to find out what to wear. This will help you stay warm and not get burned, so don't be lazy and take a few minutes to surf the internet before you pack your bags. Safety is also an important issue for people who want to go to Russia. Russian cities where you will be studying or traveling are very equipped and technologically advanced, so that everyone can feel comfortable and safe. This is especially true in Moscow and other larger cities such as St. Petersburg, Kazan or Yekaterinburg. In 2022, the United Nations published its ranking of the world cities and gave Moscow first place among larger cities for quality of life and infrastructure, praising the metropolis for transportation and the well-being of its citizens. And other cities are not far behind Moscow. Russian cities are clean and safe. You won't have any problems anywhere during the day. You can walk at your free time. In fact, you can walk all night in the center of Moscow or St. Petersburg Petersburg and nothing will happen to you. It's 100% safe. But remember that every city in the world has dangerous neighborhoods as well as safe ones. Google it before you arrive so you know where it's safe to spend the day and where it's best not to go at night. As I have mentioned at the beginning, credit cards from other countries don't work in Russia, except for the Chinese UnionPay cards, which means that most likely you need to bring cash. Dollars are the best as you can exchange them in any place. You have several options. First of all, you can get some money at the exchange office at the airport, but the exchange rate there is not really profitable for you, so don't change all your money there. Once you are in the city, you can change money at a bank for a better rate. To find the most profitable exchange, compare exchange rates on bank websites. The rate changes all the time nowadays. Usually it's best to exchange money in small banks, but if you're not sure about that, you can go to one of the largest banks such as Sberbank, VTB or Alfa Bank. The exchange rate won't be as cheap, but everything will be done quickly and without any problems. But more interesting is to talk about prices. Russia is not an expensive country, especially compared to Europe or some Asian countries like Japan. In Moscow or St. Petersburg, you can find a good hotel for $40–50 a night, and in other cities even cheaper. Of course, the more you pay, the better hotel you get, but finding cheap accommodation is possible as well. Food isn't expensive either. Of course, you will find a lot of expensive restaurants on the main street, but most of them serve European cuisine. And you don't want to go to Russia to eat typical European food, do you? That's why the best choice is small, cozy Russian restaurants that are not expensive and allow you to try authentic Russian cuisine. First question you will have after arriving in Russia is how to get to the city center and how to get around. First of all, remember, when you arrive in Russia, never trust those guys near the airport who promise you to take you to a hotel. When they realize you're a foreigner, they can charge you any price, $100, $200 or even $300. It depends on the appetite of those drivers. Before you go somewhere, install any taxi calling app that works in Russia. We have a special version of Uber called Uber Russia and our own Yandex.Go, which will also work fine. Just take a few rubles at the airport exchange office and go anywhere. Usually you won't have to pay more than $15 or $30 to get from the airport to downtown Moscow, so it's not too expensive. But if you're trying to save money in Moscow, there is the Aero Express, a special train that runs from airport to the center. Tickets for it cost less than $10 and get you there in less than an hour. And after you arrive at the hotel, you will have a question: what to do next? Well, when you talk about getting around the city, the first thing you need to use is the metro. There is a subway in almost every city, but Moscow's subway is the largest. In fact, the 7th largest subway in the world. With its help, you can easily get from any place to all the important sites. And if you can't use the subway, you can take a bus, or as we call it, a marshrutka. The cost can vary from city to city, but it's usually no more than $2. You can also install 2GIS. It's an app that lets you see all the bus routes as well as the nearest stops and buses. However, you can use car-sharing services and rent a car from Yandex.Go, City Drive, Belka Car or others if you have an international driving license. It's not expensive and it is very comfortable if you want to travel outside the city. And there is a cheaper option, electric scooter. This type of transportation has become extremely popular in recent years, so you can find them everywhere. To rent a scooter in Russia, you need to install an app like YouRent or Yandex.Go, the same one that works for taxis, and use the map to find the nearest e-scooter. It's easy, cheap and convenient. And don't be afraid to walk. Russian streets are beautiful. Yes, there are sometimes bad sidewalks, but you can walk safely in the center of any city and enjoy the architecture. These were the tips to help you to avoid the most popular problems that can arise when you're traveling around Russia. And recently we have released a video about myths and stereotypes about Russia. Just click here or follow the link in the description. And this is where I say goodbye to you. If you want to hear from us more useful tips about traveling to Russia, click like and leave a comment down below. And I remind you that we in GE are always ready to help you with enrolling into university in Russia. All you need is just click on the link in the description box and contact us. This was Polina from GE. Don't be afraid of going to Russia and get a high-level education with GE. See ya!